Hey everybody, Dutch Sense here. And I want to thank Chrissy Sumer for sending this over to me. This is a story that broke. Strange loud booms have been reported across the state of Oklahoma now. And we do have an explanation for this, which we'll get into in a second. But first I'm going to read you the first couple paragraphs on this. If you hear a bang in the night in Oklahoma, it's probably not a monster, but could be something worse. An earthquake. Across the south central state, 20 earthquakes were reported to the USGS on Saturday alone. One of those quakes in the Edmond area had a magnitude of 3.5. But residents are puzzled as to why the quakes are occurring so frequently and making such alarmingly loud noises. Quote, "Felt like booms going off. It's just a huge loud noise, and then it's like a reverb from that boom that just shakes the entire house," Logan County resident Nancy York told the ABC News affiliate KOCO in Oklahoma City. "If I'm experiencing 8 of these in one day, then when does it erupt and become absolutely horrible that takes my house down?" York asked. Now you guys can go on and read the rest of this. They talk about similar booms have been heard across Rhode Island, Indiana, South Carolina, Ohio, all in the last month. Now, the explanation. This is Earthquake 3D. It's a USGS feed of the most recent earthquakes, and we're looking at the last 24 hours of 2.5 and greater in the US, 4.0 and greater internationally. Now, last night there was a 6.5 that occurred in Barbados, and a series of smaller earthquakes, 4.0s, that occurred across the southern edge of the North American plate entirely, butting up down to Central America. So from, let's say, Mexico south to South America and Colombia, a flurry of earthquakes happening down here you can see. Now also, over the last week, look what happened to the southeast. The 4.2 and 3.2 that struck in South Carolina, and we had that 2.9 and a subsequent 2.8 that fell off the map just over 7 days ago up here in Canada. Now, I did a post 10 days ago now on the earthquake activity in North America, showing everyone that this North American craton displacement, the craton is the unsubducted plate. You can see it here on the right. The earthquakes last week, 10 days ago, here matching up with the edge of the plate. And we were watching this area swarm 10 days ago. The earthquakes here to the southeast had not happened yet. You can see the 4.3 right down here at North Cuba. When I made this post, I said, watch the eastern edge of the craton for possible movement, and to watch Oklahoma and Yellowstone for subsequent movement. Now, look what's happened. Over the last 7 days, look at Yellowstone, look at Oklahoma, and look at the East Coast. Also, look what happened to the South. It's spot on. This is exactly what we were expecting to happen. There is pressure occurring from the west, and this is due to excessive movement in the West Pacific. If you see the West Pacific, all of these 4 and 5.0 earthquakes, the higher they are off the planet, the deeper they are into the earth. So you can see a flurry of shallow earthquakes and 4 and 5.0s happening at several hundred miles deep as well. Also, this past week, 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck in western China. Again, go watch the earthquake update that I did 10 days ago. Showed you the cluster points to watch. This was one where I put my mouse right over it and said, watch the cluster points. The cluster points are the areas where we're going to be seeing larger movement in the near term. And like I said in the update 10 days ago, we need to watch the edge of the North American craton again. Now, whenever we see this flurry of activity here, we normally see activity follow up along the eastern edge of the craton. And that's, again, the plate is being pushed from the west. And it's showing as activity at these fracking operations. Now, they said the largest was 3.5. No. In the last 48 hours, we've had 2 3.9s. And let me just show those to you here. And we're going to go look one of these up. In case you're wondering whether or not these are fracking, the USGS has already confirmed this in several press releases talking about the fracking operation in Oklahoma producing the earthquakes. They happen roughly all at 3.1 miles deep. That's much deeper than the actual injection that's going on, and they're trying to figure out why it's happening. They've already created perforations. Let me show this to you again. They've created perforations in the edge of the North American craton. Now, this is Yellowstone. Yellowstone already showing earthquake activity due to the pressure. But in southern Colorado, North Texas, here, the 2.8 magnitude earthquake. Look at, again, the swarm happening in central Oklahoma. And Arkansas, the same thing happened in Arkansas in 2011. And it resulted in multiple 5.0, borderline 5.0 earthquakes that did damage houses. And that takes us back to the residents here. You know, is it going to take your house down? Talk to the people in Arkansas whose chimneys fell through their living rooms, whose facades fell off the front of their houses. There's pictures of that. You don't have to take my word for it. Look up 2011 Oklahoma, Arkansas earthquakes, and Colorado. All three had 5.0 earthquakes in 2011 at fracking operations. Now, here's our current 3.9 magnitude earthquake. Just looking it up using USGS coordinates. All right, we're going to place mark it. And I always recommend you do this. If you look these up, place mark it and date it, just so you know. In the future, when you come back to look at these areas, to find out if there's a fracking operation nearby. Okay, there it is. Look at this. Okay, here we go. We have a pipeline station and a frac well and an apparatus. This also looks like it could be nearby a compressor station. We'll have to back it out and see if there's any other. And so, you know, when you find these guys, let's just get a line measurement tool on this. Okay, here's the earthquake epicenter. 0.34 miles. Let's get that in feet since it's so close. 1,700 feet away is the nearest frac well. All right, so we mark the frac well too. If you're going to be marking these, you might as well mark the frac wells. And I'm going to show you other examples really quick so you know this is not just an isolated event. We've been monitoring this for 3 years now, and we've seen hundreds of earthquakes happen. And each earthquake that I've monitored, I've come back and marked the nearby frac wells just to show you that it's not just one area. And this one's really great. You can see the actual pump here. You know, everybody's familiar with these oil pumps, but they're injecting water down into the ground. They call it wastewater, but it's chemical-filled water to fracture the earth, to release natural gas. And each one of these place marks is areas where I've marked previous earthquakes that have happened. Okay, now here, you know, perfect example. You can see this, Booms Steam Energy Plant. Okay, there were booms reported near the steam energy plant, but then they had the large earthquake just north in Virginia within a few months. All in all, the booms are signs of deep craton plate movement, and the fracturing that's occurring, the injection of water done by humans, is causing a weak point, producing multiple 3.9, 4.0 earthquakes. This is going to carry on into the future, folks. I hate to break it to you, but the pressure from the west is not letting up. We keep continuing to see multiple 6 and 7.0 earthquakes happen over the several weeks time period, and that's causing pressure to build on the North American plate from the west. Not coming from the mid-Atlantic ridge, it is spilling over. You can see how it occurs. Let me just take this down. Okay, we're looking, this is the last 7 days. So all of these smaller earthquakes here occurred to the west first before the 6.5, which just happened last night. So you just trace it back and you can see the pressure is coming over from the west and spilling down the plate, and coming further from the west down to the south and spilling to the west, from the west to the east again. All right, guys? I hope that explains it. If you have any questions, there's earthquake links down below so you can monitor earthquakes yourself. And I will put a link to my update from 10 days ago again that you guys can go check out and see what I was saying 10 days ago about what to expect. And that all came out. That all happened. Multiple 3.0s happened here at Yellowstone again, swarm in Oklahoma, earthquake activity on the East Coast, and further to the southeast. Have an earthquake plan ready. Be prepared just in case. Never hurts. If you're in a non-seismically prone area, you know, you live in the Midwest, you live on the East Coast, you're not normally used to having to prepare for these kind of things, might be a good idea just to have that plan ready or develop one. Only takes a few minutes, few hours time to develop it. Once you know it, you can then enact it if something actually occurs. Cheers.